Hello, Rosie. Get out of the way. Alright, so in this box are a whole bunch of Lenovo Thinkpads that I picked up from a local office that was going to throw these away, and so I got these for free, saved them from the trash heap, so let's see what we got. I'll have more in-depth videos on some of the stuff that we find a little bit later on. Alright, so let's crack it open here. Okay, looks like we've got some larger laptops, a couple smaller ones, so we'll start with these that are right on top. Looks like we are missing batteries for these. These look like T440S. Yeah. So we've got a T440S. This one's got a Core i7. That's good. That's nice. This one also has a Core i7. This actually looks like it might have a touch screen on it too, which would be very cool. Hard drive caddies, a spare battery, probably for one of these larger ones. Looks like these smaller Ultrabooks, the T440s, don't have batteries, so I might have to order batteries for those. But I do think that these models they might have internal batteries. I'm not sure though. So what do we have here? This is a T540p, missing hard drive, missing RAM. Yep, that's another T540p. This looks in really good shape. It looks almost new. Yeah, both of these have Core i5s, so that's good. Yeah, so this one's a T530, which is the model that came before the 540, obviously. Judging by the sticker, I'd say this one probably has either a second or third gen Core i5. It also has physical click buttons as opposed to the trackpads on the others. So yeah, this one's definitely the oldest one here. Also missing, looks like there's only one RAM that's accessible here, so it probably has the other RAM chip in it, unless they took the keyboard off and took that RAM out. And then we just have a whole bunch of paperwork. There's stuff like the covers for the bottom of, this one's got a cover on it for this laptop here. So there's a lot of stuff here. So we've got 5 laptops total, 5 total ThinkPads. That's really not too bad. I'm pretty excited to get these things set up. So I'm gonna go set them up and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've gotten a couple of the ThinkPads set up. I set up these two, the T440S, and I set up one of the 540Ps back there. Then I ran out of hard drives and RAM, so I haven't set up these other two. But so far, I'm pretty pleased. As I said before, the T440Ss are missing batteries, so I'm going to have to order batteries for these. But my suspicion was confirmed. They do have internal batteries, which is really cool. It means that when you do put a battery here, which, by the way, is a larger capacity, the internal one's pretty small, but when you do put a battery here, that means you can hot swap them, so you don't have to turn the machine off to switch the batteries, which is really, really cool. So both of these have Core i7s, I believe 4600Us, 2.1 gigahertz. The 540p has a Core i5 4300M, I believe. I'm not sure what the clock speed is on that one, but running Cinebench, these guys were about 250. The 540, weirdly enough, with the Core i5, also has, well, same generation, was getting about 290. So that one performs a little better, but I prefer the look of these two, to be perfectly honest. So this one does, in fact, have a touch screen. I can't believe that they were going to just throw these away. I mean, this thing is really nice. I like these laptops a lot. So overall, I'm really pleased with what I was able to pick up. All of these, except for the older ThinkPad over here, have Haswell processors, so they're all pretty recent, about 2014 or so. The touchscreen is great. These have 1080p displays. Honestly, I prefer these over the 540s and the 530 back here because they're smaller, they're pretty decently thin, and they have Core i7s. They've got 1080p displays with really great viewing angles, as opposed to the 1366 by 768 on the laptops behind me. Those are also thicker, heavier, and they don't have backlit keyboards. So these are heavily my preference. I really, really, really like these two laptops. So another thing that was interesting is when I opened up the 440Ss, there's only one accessible RAM slot from the inside, which tells me that the other RAM chip is housed underneath the keyboard. So that's going to require a lot of disassembly to get to. So I left this one at 4 gigabytes of RAM, and then this one had 4 gigabytes in it already, and then I put in another 4 gigabyte chip, so we've got 8 gigabytes of 1600 megahertz DDR3 RAM. As for the ones behind me, I only set up the one, and because both RAM chips were accessible from the bottom, it didn't have any RAM in it, so I just put 4 gigs in that one and left the other two untouched, because I figured, you know, I'd set one of them up, and then the other two are pretty similar. The 530, I don't know if I'm going to use, because it does look a bit old and clunky. I know it's probably perfectly fine in terms of usability, but I'd much rather use the 440s than use an older one like that. So as far as the 440's performance, I ran Cinebench, as I mentioned, and they scored pretty much on par with my late 2013 Retina MacBook Pro. So I think that's an interesting position, because they're both sort of prosumer ultrabooks, where they're not really like your average ultrabook, but they're not, you know, particularly performance oriented. I also found it a little bit strange that the Core i7 in here, a 4600U, was almost exactly on par with the performance that I got out of the 4285U Core i5 that's in the MacBook. So that was a little bit interesting. But I do think this has some advantages over the MacBook. The main one is the touchscreen. The touchscreen is actually fantastic on here. It's very responsive. It's also got kind of an anti-reflective coating on it. I'm not sure. It looks like that might just be a screen protector that never got removed, but I like it, so I'm going to keep it on there. The other thing that I really like about this computer that the MacBook does not have is, well, obviously the upgradability. Being able to put in whatever SSD you want. I put a 120 gigabyte SSD in this one. It also has a fingerprint reader, which is fantastic. Works really well. I was very easily able to set it up with Windows Hello. So one of the other things that I really, really liked when I was setting this up is the ThinkPad trackpads are just fantastic. In my opinion, they are the best in the PC world. I think that trackpads in the PC world are getting better, but I still think that these are just fantastic. There's really thick, solid, deep presses. You can use the whole trackpad as a button. It's got some gesture support. Really fantastic trackpad. I still, not gonna lie, I still prefer the Mac trackpad. They're kind of the polar opposite, where the MacBook trackpad doesn't click at all, and this clicks like 1.5 feet. But I do like the increased gestures, and I think the tracking is a little bit better on a Mac. But for PC laptops, it doesn't really get much better than these trackpads. They're just fantastic. Now, one thing I thought was a little bit weird, and that is on the 440S, which, keep in mind, is a business ultrabook from 2014, so it's not really that old. And it doesn't have HDMI on it. I don't know why. There's a VGA port, which is a little odd. It also has, you know, Ethernet, USB, SD card reader, and then on the other side we've got 2 more USB and a mini display port. But there's no HDMI. I really would like to see HDMI. I don't think, you know, granted this is a 4-year-old laptop, but even in 2014 I think HDMI would have been much more relevant than VGA. So that's just my 2 cents. But other than that, I really do like these laptops. I do want to get batteries in these two just to kind of complete them and get the better battery life. There we go. Windows Hello, fingerprint sensor works really, really well. I'm really pleased with this. Like, this was a good score. Not as much those thicker boys in the background, but these two are really fantastic, and I'm honestly surprised that these were getting thrown away. I mean, these are still pretty modern devices. 1080p, they've got good resolution. This one's got touch, Core i7s. These are nice machines. So I'm glad that I was able to rescue these from the trash heap. I think they're really fantastic. So that'll do it for this video. I'm likely to have full reviews on the 440Ss are what I'm most likely going to do a full video on, because I think these are really great laptops. So you can expect to see full videos on those. I'm yet to figure out what I'm going to do with the 540s here in the background. Maybe I'll include them in the video of this as kind of a mention. Maybe I'll do my own video on them. We'll see what ends up happening with those. As usual, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Luke Miani. Don't forget to join my subreddit. The link is in the description below. You know, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. I'll leave you to it. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.